try this. Okay, that didn't do anything. Oh, okay, well that worked. Okay. Got that. Not too bad. Okay. So I want to have oh God, of course. Just froze. Because getting the recording is the whole purpose. God. Getting. Alright, I'm trying to. Can you say something really quick? Can you say something really quick?
Hello?
Okay, awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
I thought you were talking to someone.
You're good. Perfect. And then so I can hear stuff from my AirPods, but I want to capture things on my microphone. Okay. So that works. Oh. Pro. How do I test this? Hello, hello. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, now let me try with it off. Perfect. Okay. And testing microphone. Testing microphone. Oh, that is nice. Okay. One problem down. A good amount more to go.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Can I record it? The recording will not include audio. Why wouldn't I want the audio? That makes no sense. Join audio. Oh god, everything messes up everything else. I know I've done this like and set this up without this problem before. Ugh, I have. Okay, you are now connected to the computer audio. Okay. So, does that change any of my stuff? Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Does it change any of my... No, that looks good. This looks pretty good, actually. It looks like everything did it. Okay, so let's see. Now let's try and join, invite you. Okay. So I'll send a Gmail. Alright, I just sent a Gmail
to me?
Yes.
Okay, 1 sec. Let me pull up my email.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave the Gmail one.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I think your microphone is off. Okay, yes, now I can hear you. And how's it look on your end? Just can you see the video and everything? Awesome. Does my video like that I'm seeing, it looks like the colors are a little dark. Is that what you're getting? Okay. Okay, let me see if I can. That means I gotta move the camera, the lighting, or maybe I can increase it because I do like where it's at. Oh no, that changes that kind of. How does the background look now? Does it look brighter or darker? The same? Are you seeing any difference as I do this? Colder? Does that mean like lighter? Like bluer? Here, let me. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Okay, well I kind of want it warmer. So let's give it some. You think that's right? What do you think about that? Does the white look white? When what do you think? Do you think it's still, or you think I should turn up the brightness? Because that, we were just playing with the warmth and the coldness of the light, but should I turn up the brightness as well? Or do you think? Yes, I can do that. So this is 100%. Oh, I hit my shin. Oh, that was painful. All right, what do you think? Does it still kind of dark? You think I should work on maybe getting some other lights around, or what do you think? Okay. All right, perfect. Okay. So we got that done. We got this script made. Let me think of what else we need to do to prepare for this guy. I mean, we're both going to be on the call, so, if we need to give him passwords or anything, we can quickly, get that to him. You have access to the Gmail as well, and we're basically going to be, doing all of that kind of stuff. So, I guess, why don't we work on the website? We got some hours, and then we can go over it, and when it gets time to the meeting, if we think of anything, we can readdress it at that point. So, I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to put that down. All right. So, yeah, I guess I probably need to... Do you need to share your screen, or do you think I need to... Let's do you share your screen. And we can work on the website from your kind of perspective. And we can go over any of the questions you had and figure out what's next. Yes. I just got to figure out how to do that. So I guess I'll just make you a host, and that will allow you to sounds good. I really have to get over, my image. I always look at my hair and think, oh, I need to do something to, get a haircut or something, and I can't be making videos. But then I see these guys, and they look way, less than me, and I'm like, oh, I should be okay. But anyway, yeah, our marketing. Okay. Change with the back. Huh? The contact? Okay, let's see. Ooh, whoa. Oh my god, I like this. That's good. Now we need to connect it to our MailChimp. I have to get you the passwords for MailChimp, because if you actually go to MailChimp, it's Armando Perez at thestorycompany.com. And we can get you one of those, and we can start figuring out, because that's an easy thing you can charge a business $200, $300 for, and you can get it done in 10 minutes. But they're just so thankful for it. It's such a value add, because people will have like David Hernandez at gmail.com as their professional, like business email, and it should be at the name of their business.com. And you don't actually have to, and there's plenty of businesses where it maybe is not worth it to get a website right off the bat, and they're thinking I have to have a website in order to have that last kind of professional handle, and you don't need to do that. You can just set it up through like an email service provider, and you already took the course, so you should know how to kind of set that up. And I know that you have to you look at information many times in order to like fully be able to apply it, and so you can always go back. Mhm. 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 Yep. Yes, I agree. I think that's the most effective way to do it. Yep, yep. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. We'll get you set up on that. And even, it's good to go through the lessons if even if you don't have anything to um, work on at that moment, cuz you're going to be taking those lessons multiple times, Don't think of it it's like a study guide. So that's kind of that'll come in handy. Okay, so all right. I guess so. The front end looks good. Obviously, it's kind of blank. There's a lot that we need to add to it to you know get people to actually want. Yeah. Mhm. We can come up with some. Yep. Just like and we'll go back to the reference on Instagram, that profile I showed you. Um, actually, if you have your phone, we can pull it up really quick. You don't have to share your screen or anything or stuff like that. We can just kind of go along and refer to it. Are you able to do that? All right, so I will go to the Instagram messages I sent you. I believe it was uh, Santiago CXSTRO, and he's a visual brand strategist. It's like the very last message I sent you, the most recent one. Yep, that's it. As soon as you clicked on it, I already heard his voice. I was like, yeah, that's the guy. So if you go to his link tree, which, when I was saying like those videos are gonna, kind of help us understand, they're not gonna provide everything for us, but, just like it's basically like we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just kind of copying, pasting, and doing our own thing. I'm gonna give an analogy. I love stories, so here you go. You thought you could get away from them? Nope. We're already gonna start with one. So here it is. Um, One of my favorite bands growing up was a heavy metal band called Pantera. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are like in American rock music history, they're kind of one of the historically relevant bands because around the time that they were coming up in the mid 80s, there was glam metal and that or glam rock, and that was like really like big hairstyles with like all the spray and everything, and weird leather clothing that like it was just kind of like a lot of makeup, weird stuff like that, like Twisted Sister, Guns N' Roses was like the quintessential glam metal or rock band. That was the scene at the time of like, when Pantera was coming up, and there were like a couple bands that kind of like revitalized heavy metal, hardcore, like underground metal scene, and it was like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and kind of Anthrax, and then also Pantera. It was really Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Pantera. They kind of like made it so that the metal scene stayed relevant and then exploded again. And so I was really fascinated with their music, and I love music history. And just you know, I like history in general, but specifically music history is interesting because culture is important, is a driver in the course of history. So anyway, the lead singer of Pantera, Phil Anselmo, before the band broke up because of his drug addiction, he was a brilliant songwriter. And so there's a lot of interviews out there of him talking about his songwriting process and talking about how Metallica came, or how Pantera came into being, and how you find your own kind of voice and everything like that. And he described it so funny. I love, like, for the same reason I love hearing the interviews of athletes, the same I love hearing the interviews of musicians. Now I happen to like this musician, but even, and this genre of music, but even genres of music and athletes, I have no interest in their sport, like Michael Phelps in swimming. I'm still, interested in that mindset, because you get to kind of understand the raw perspective of a high achieving individual. Even if you don't like the music, you have to give credit where credit is due to someone who's willing to go on tour and actually pursue this idea that they can write songs and make a living doing that, and that sort of thing. So I think it's interesting to get a glimpse into the mindset, and you get a very unfiltered version when you're, listening to someone who never planned on being famous. They didn't train to be famous. They're not professional actors or performers. They're just this dude that came out of a garage and wanted to play music with his friends and yell about stuff. And so when he talks about how he created the unique, idea and musical creation of Pantera, he explained that, well, what you do when you create a band with your friends is you take your 10 favorite artists and you rip them off to all hell. And in doing that, you create something entirely new. You are blatantly, like, you'll find a guitar riff and be like, that's awesome, I'm just going to take that. You'll find a way a guy, like, screams or talks about a certain thing, you'd be like, that's awesome, I'm just going to steal that. You find a way that these guys dress, that's awesome, I'm just going to steal that. You just steal all the things that you like out of your 10, biggest, most favorite artists, and then you're just ripping them off. But again, in having a diverse field that you're kind of taking inspiration from, and that's saying it politely, like, again, he would just say, you're ripping him off. But that's fine, that's what music is, the weird corporatism of music where, if a song comes out and it has a kind of minuscule reference or similarity to another song, all of a sudden it's copyright infringement and we need to take that person to court and sue them for 6 years. And, that's the weird part about music, because music and art in general is mostly just like taking inspiration from other art or ripping other art off. Either way you put it, it doesn't really matter. It's information, and information should technically be free or very low cost. So yeah, he would explain that and say, and his kind of whole thesis was like a critique on modern music, modern rock, modern metal, is that now they have 3 bands that they rip off to all hell, and that's why everyone sounds the same, because they're not diversifying their kind of background and understanding and inspirations enough so that it creates this entirely new thing out of it. It just kind of creates the same cookie cutter recipe that everyone is like doing because that's what's trending in the moment. And so that was an interesting critique, but I really enjoyed the kind of original thesis statement of him just saying, like, yeah, when you're creating something new, when you're trying to be an artist, and you're not relying on data, you're relying on the abject and the abstract. That's really just finding what you like and taking the parts of it you like, because you won't like it 100%. The parts of it that you don't like at all, don't take. But everything else, take what you like. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're copying it blatantly, and again, if you just have one inspiration and you just rip it off, that's just copying. But if you have 10 inspirations, it's not copying. So that's a little interesting kind of understanding on it. And, okay. Sorry, I left the that guy's channel, so I have to go back to it. But I wanted to explain that
prove it to yourself.
Kind of understanding. So that's what, I mean when we look at things and we say, that's cool, let's just do that exact same thing. Let's not even, like, I don't know if you saw his link tree. Oh, man, I keep click. Yep, so we need that. We need a link tree with all of the various things, a YouTube channel, a podcast, a website, all of that different stuff. Let's go to his website, and this is good inspiration. And obviously some of these jobs we can't do ourselves, like this little image popping up when you first click on it, his little logo. That would be cool to do ourselves. It's kind of like a loading thing, and it's really, I like it. And but we might need to get a UX designer or a graphics designer in there. Just someone who can kind of play around with like After Effects would really be the program. I'm really sticking to the Adobe suite of products. So obviously there's other freer products that you can use, but especially when I go back to the Speed Up Co. and say like I need these type of people, I'm really gonna stress. I was kind of lenient in the in the past about letting people that aren't the qualifications that I asked for in and interviewing them, but now I realize I'm just wasting their time, so I'm not gonna do that. But I need them to be like Adobe certified and that sort of thing. And it does, it's not, I need them to be able to use, to do this kind of After Effects stuff. I need them to be Adobe certified, because if they're not Adobe certified, there's just going to be a learning curve, that's the whole point of hiring an expert, is to avoid the learning curve. And I'm not going to learn their software. They have to learn my software, because this is the company that we're growing. And I've looked at all the different softwares and determined Adobe's the best. I mean, you may like the free element of it, but the Adobe family just has more growth, more integration with AI, better workflows, better collaborative processes. So all that stuff is that's why I lean towards Adobe. But yeah, so obviously we're not going to be able to do that right off the bat, but we can make note of it and kind of say, well, that's something we want to get into and figure out. The link tree, we can probably do our own research and figure out how do we Linktree is just a website. I mean, it's just a platform, so you can just go to Linktree just like later, and it's just like a planning thing. You just connect all your different social medias, and there you go. You can set it up that way. But we need to have something to be able to plug in. So if we don't have a good website or a website worth plugging in, then it's not gonna make a difference. And I kind of like his. Are you still on his website? Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna open it in browser so it stays in my browser. Oh, well, I guess that's... Yep. That's... Yeah. You're fine. You can just keep it on your phone, and like you can switch over to the browser in your phone. We don't have to, look at it together, because we can both look at it, But yeah, I mean, his design and everything, it's minimalist. It's awesome. It's really good. Like, we just have like a one picture, and it just keeps revolving, and his tells a lot more. Like, it's creative, it's new, it's kind of got like this maximalist vibe. And some of the videos may have like work that he's done, like it may be actual footage. First of all, I can get drone footage. I actually have a guy that does drone work, so we can easily pull some drone footage. But we can get free video content. I don't know if I gave you the websites for those stock videos. Did I do that, or do I still need to do that? Okay, well, I still need to get you the stuff for the stock videos, so you can get that done. But yeah, this changing kind of like imagery, I really think that that's cool. You know, like I said last time, instead of having people just doing one thing, like when you have people, it's kind of like it's easy, you know. And obviously he has some people there, but you know that's why he has different kind of changing backgrounds. Like he's got like, you know, a girl in a wedding dress, which can kind of symbolize like creating new relationships that last forever. You know, he's got people like getting massages, which is like relaxation. And, you know, these things seem kind of like I'm pulling them out of thin air at times. But whether people sit down and think of this stuff on their own or not, that's the stuff that attracts people, is the, you know, underlying themes and ideas. And so you have to kind of be able to figure them out. You know, that's why the health and wellness kind of element of it, like, you know, it's got the guy lifting weights and everything. That's a part of like longevity, self-respect, self-preservation, all that kind of stuff. And that plays into, you know, wanting to promote growth, wanting to be like, you know, a company that builds things. And so we can create visual assets and engrave your brand story. So that's kind of more leaning on the kind of visual element of storytelling, which, you know, when we go to services, scroll down on our screen. A little bit further, because that's our values. So okay, here's our services. So I would really change. Honestly, I would change all of these. And you may want to open up a document and put this, because at the end of the day, it's not that we offer video marketing and PPC and content marketing and SEO. Those are all elements of a marketing strategy. So if you came to us and said, like, I want paid per click marketing, we would say, okay, well, let's learn a little bit about your business. Like, okay, here's how much, like, if they just said, I want a price, pay per click marketing, what can you do? If they're, you know, that kind of adamant about getting a price, we just give them a price. We say, what's your market? What's your, you know, what industry are you in? Okay, well, here's generally what we would charge for that industry. You know, in some industries we're not interested in getting into, so we can easily find or know the kind of, like, you know, and most of the time we'll get clients based on industries that we want to be in, because we're marketing and trying to attract those clients. So, but, you know, sometimes we may just get clients out of the blue that heard it from a friend, and you know, there'll be some industries that we're like, yeah, we're interested in getting into that industry and doing that. We didn't really have any idea that would be out there, but after kind of thinking about it, that's something we'd want to do. And then there'll be industries that we're flat out like, no, like you know, sex industry, you know, drug industry, whatever you want to do is your business. Even gambling industry, again, whatever you want to do is your business. But you know, I think for the long term, for bigger clients, at this point, we're trying to build like a really good, strong brand. When we have like 100 clients and we can pick and choose whatever, if someone's going to offer us like $1 million or, you know, plus to work with Mike Tyson and his edible, you know, weed farm or whatever, I'm down to do that. But, you know, starting off, it wouldn't probably be like that. It'd probably be like some underground, potentially shady, like, you know, cannabis dispensary or go ahead. Okay, no problem. No problem. And so, I was actually looking through some paperwork because I found a line that was actually really awesome, and you'll understand what I mean. God, I just dropped the lamp. You'll probably see it because we recorded this, so you'll be able to edit this and get the important clips. But I just dropped the lamp and I had to fix it. I was like staring directly into the light, and I got the floaters in my eyes right now because. And actually to make value out of that little thing I just said, stuff like that is actually valuable to cut and post in the to actually use as content. I don't know if I don't know if we'll have time right now to actually go through the video content and like do a compare contrast to the clips that I pulled versus the clips that you pulled, because we pulled close to the same amount, but I imagine we identify different things as valuable, and it's good to compare and go over that kind of stuff and learn from that. And some of the stuff that I pulled, you may perceive as not like one sec. Let me see how much the upgrade is for Zoom. One sec. I'm gonna see if I can upgrade. But how much is it? It's like it doesn't even tell me. Okay, let's just see. Okay, so let me finish what I was saying before I worry about that. So, some clips will just be funny, and those are good clips to pull and use, and that's content, so I wanted to kind of address that and let you know about that. But yeah, now let me just so that idea is solid, so maybe you'll be able to clip it. I don't know. Damn it, now I have to figure out how I can go back. Okay. Alright. So, I'm going to pause recording really quick. So that I can go and sign up for the longer Zoom meetings. Okay, but while you're while I'm signing up for this, why don't you tell me a little bit about the back end stuff, what you did there? I know I can't see it right now. Well, I can, but I'm not looking at it right now. And then kind of go over any questions or any things we need to talk about to figure out what you can do next. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 when you take that course, you'll figure out like even more stuff you can do and like how you can use and optimize content. And like, you know, we're building the infrastructure so that all of that stuff is kind of, it makes sense like when it's all done. Like when you actually have a blog which has like a video with the text transcript for the video and a link for an affiliate post, like that is a completed piece of content. But then the back end of that is you have a meta description, you have geotags, you have backlinks. That's a part of the SEO stuff. You run it through like that SEO scanner, which what that thing is scanning for is keyword relevance, and all of that sort of stuff. And there's a bunch of different SEO tools that we can use. Right now, that's the one we're using. Eventually, we'll shift over to SEMrush because that one is just like Adobe. I've identified it as being very holistic in its approach and also being able to network well and have a lot of AI adaptions. So, yeah, that's why I chose it. But, yeah, but that course, like the next course that you'll take after the website course is I believe it's called SEO optimizing and backlink create something like that for websites, and that one tells you like everything about backlinks and all that stuff. And you know, you have these projects like even right now, if you wanted to work side by side, like you said, you're a visual learner, you could take the content that's already on the website and use that. And you know, the content which like all the blog posts, there's only like 3, but there's one about QR codes, there's one about storytelling. There's just different marketing. Like it may be 3 blog posts, but until they're perfectly optimized, that's work that can be done. So you can like, you know, have those side by side. A lot of SEMrush is free. So if you need to make an account to kind of do the the SEO kind of rankings with the backlink, not backlinking, I keep saying that. Backlinking is essentially a part of email marketing. It's not really considered email marketing. It's categorized into SEO, which is search engine optimization. But essentially, you're emailing different like blog hosts, which could be websites that are just affiliate websites, websites that are just informational websites, websites of companies, whatever it is, and you're emailing them and you're asking them if you can have a guest post and if they can like basically repost your blog to get more traction on the internet and rank higher in Google. So you do have to have skill with writing email email messaging and saying, you know, having a CRM where you're managing all your prospects and everything like that. And so that's a part of backlinking, and you'll learn. Go ahead. Go ahead. These. Oh, okay. Yes, of course. So a CRM it stands for Customer Retention Management. And basically what it's doing is it's making sure that any marketing process, any marketing like action that you're taking is being utilized when you get a potential customer. They're not a customer right away, or maybe they're like whatever actual process they are in the customer journey, it's the platform that manages that. And you might have multiple CRMs. You might have a CRM for only customers. You might have a CRM for only prospects. You might have a CRM that combines those two people. So like, let's say you have an email, or let's say you're running an ad campaign on Facebook and Instagram, and it says like, you know, put in some information here for free, like, you know, follow-up call or brochure or something like that. So people put their information into that system. Like for car selling, it would be like, you know, fill in your information to see if you're approved, and, you know, if you get approved, one of our salespersons will reach out to you. And so they would put in their information. It would go into our system, and the CRM would populate that information, and it'd have like a phone number, an email, a name, and the information that we would need to contact them. The general rule of thumb is only ask for the bare minimum. In our case, it'd be like email, name, that's it. We don't need your business name. We don't need, because that just makes it less likely that they're going to fill out the form. And so, but different businesses do it different ways, and there's different kind of thought processes behind that. But once you get that prospect, you can, follow up with them and reach out. And let's say you don't reach out the first time, you would leave like a comment saying you didn't reach them, so that like your management can track like if you're actually I'm sorry, I have to upgrade. I think it shut off the meeting. Can you hear me? Oh, fuck. Meeting closed. I didn't fill it out quick enough. I sent a new link. It's not the same meeting. Awesome. Okay, sorry about that. I paid for the other subscription, so and it is cheaper than Restream. So just so I don't forget, I'm actually gonna go to Restream right now and take off that subscription because I cannot have both. I'd like to have both, but I can't. Okay, that's not Restream. Sorry, let me just do this so I don't forget, and then I'll go back to what I was explaining in the About a CRM. Okay. They have a $16 plan. So at least when I get a little bit more money, maybe we can go up to the $16 plan, and then as we get a little bit more, go up to the $40 plan. But for right now, I'm going to cancel both. Oh, there we go. All right. I think that did it. I think that's like an old stream or something. I don't know. Either way. Done with that. And hopefully it still gets some recording. It doesn't look like Restream is completely banned. There's probably some stuff we could do with it. So that's cool. Okay, let's see. Alright, so we're back. We've got the upgrade. So now it's going to be recording. Okay, let me start recording again. Maybe I should have recorded it to the cloud. I don't know. I probably should have, because then you can access it. Let me see if I'm gonna let's try. I think record. I think this will be better, because then you can log on and actually access that file if it's on the cloud. Okay, so let's go back to the website and let's pick up where we were there. Oh, and I'll talk about a CRM. So yeah, a CRM is just where you would like track your customers. So I mean, I can actually give an example of the CRM that we're using is SnapDocs. SnapDocs, like essentially every signing service website that we have, Notary Dash, the Closing Exchange, signingorders.com, they all are kind of CRMs. But SnapDocs is like a really like full-fledged CRM to where you could actually track your miles, you could track your expenses, track your pay. We don't use it for all that. Eventually we will, because one of the things that we're going to be doing with automation is making it so that when we get an order from any of these other platforms, it takes that information and moves it into SnapDocs. That way, then it triggers another automation to fill our calendar, send the voicemail, send the message, and then afterwards, when it's completed on SnapDocs, it can create the invoice and send it out, all through those integrations kind of working through SnapDocs. That way, every time we go and get another signing company, all we have to do is connect using Zapier. I don't even really know how to pronounce the name that well. Connect via Zapier to the signing service website and then to SnapDocs. And then once we have all the other triggers set up, it will just kind of create like a domino effect. And so, that's kind of the workflow that I've thought about using. And as I'm taking the marketing course for the loan signing system, it will show me other signing services, give me lists of signing services, so we'll just be able to quickly integrate those signing services into the already built automated workflow. So yeah, but a CRM is a customer retention management tool. SnapDocs will be essentially our CRM for Remotery, and there's different CRMs we will use for different companies. Like for Armando Pez Official, we'll essentially be using the CRM. Like every website we build will have a CRM in the background. Eventually, like the Story Company will have its own built-in CRM, and that will kind of be SEMrush when we move over and add that integration in there. Armando Pez Official, similar, and also we'll pay attention to the CRMs of all the other social media platforms, but I believe SEMrush has a way that you can view those CRMs through SEMrush. And there's different ways, because again, it's different points in a customer journey. It doesn't mean they have to have bought something from you. It doesn't mean they ever will buy something from you. It's just tracking them so that you know what kind of content you should give them to keep them, to keep yourself top of mind. The same way like Coca-Cola has, all these marketing efforts. They need to know like what's working. It's not like they have a whole like spreadsheet of every person who's ever bought a Coke and ever potentially will buy a Coke. They just have a bunch of data that says like, okay, in this region, this many people like of this age group or this demographic buy Cokes. So when we go back and create our next marketing like campaign, maybe we'll make some imagery and some music and some stuff that appeals to that demographic. And they do that for every different region, so you have multiple CRMs and different stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a data tracking tool, essentially. Cool. So we can go back to the website and kind of move on from there. I was looking through these documents to okay, one sec. Because it had a statement in here about how the company gets paid, and I was like, that is essentially what I want to just, again, you take what you like. The one thing I do like about this, about having this camera in front of me, is every time I look at it, I can see myself slouching. And I've really been trying to break that habit, because I'm starting to feel pain in my neck and my lower back and things like that. And, I never used to feel that, but just like years of slouching over my computer or slouching when I'm at a table has made it so now I feel pain. So I'm actually like, I need to stop slouching. So I look at it, I see myself slouching, and I'm like, fix that. But it helps. There's other stuff you can do too. Yep, same here. And yeah, I meet a lot of different people, and like, some people, obviously I get to see their ID, so I can kind of figure out how old they are, and it's not like I'm looking at like the date that they were born in, like calculating in my head, like, oh, this person was born, this is how old they are. But like, you can kind of roughly figure out, okay, if it's like, their birth is in the 60s, like they're around this age. If their birth is in the 70s, they're around this age. And so, like, I get to kind of look at all that stuff, and and then I get to look at the person. And some people, like, they're older, like they're in their 50s or in their 60s or maybe even 70s, and they look like, they're really, really old. And then you have some people that are in their 60s or in their 70s, and they look like they could, outwork me. Like, they go, they just, like, so, and it's not by accident. It's not just good genes. It's, the people that are really, they age well, it's because they took care of themselves, or they continue to take care of themselves, and it shows. So I'm just trying to get into that, and, it's a part of entrepreneurship. Like, if you look at all of the many, many different entrepreneur kind of pages, it's part education, part entertainment, part inspiration. And the best do all three of those, and they bounce between all three of those, and they're not just one. Gary Vaynerchuk is a great example. Sometimes he's funny. If you think he's funny, if you like his humor, he's funny, and he does funny, quirky things. And sometimes he's very educational. He says little tidbits that are just really valuable. They're worth taking down and kind of applying and figuring out how you can integrate them into your business. And sometimes, he just motivational. He just says things that make you think, like, I need to think like that. I need to go out and do that thing. And so that's having all three of those, and that's how you get to be really good. But that's health and wellness. It's a part of that. So I've thought about that and figuring out ways to integrate it to my business. And I've been in shape before in my life. So the nice thing about getting in shape when you're young is that as long as it's not like a 20-year gap, once you've gotten in shape once in your life, it's kind of easier to get back into shape at a later point in your life. Again, if it's a 20-year gap, you're basically starting over again. It's like you never worked out. Your bones are going to be brittle, and your muscles aren't going to be like full of lactic acid, and it's just going to be terrible. But thankfully, like, when I was younger, I was much healthier, and so it's a little bit easier for me to get back into shape and know what I'm doing. So I just have to stick with the routine and figure out how to work it into my schedule. Obviously my schedule reflects the fact that if I get a job, I'm gonna take it. And 5 jobs tomorrow, like, I'm gonna have to figure out and forcibly think about when I can work out, as opposed to when I don't have any jobs. I just kind of wake up around 6, and I just spend some time eating, or doing whatever, and maybe even just being on my phone. Then I start working out, and I take long rests in between sets, and then my phone, and it might take me 2-3 hours to actually finish a workout that probably could be out in 45 minutes. And it's just because I'm just sitting there, like, wasting time, and I don't have anywhere to be. And so that I don't have a problem doing. But when I'm keeping it as a actual repetitive task, is difficult. But there's this, when it talks about fees. Okay, so this is essentially, I like this fee structure, and obviously our fee structure will be different. But this goes to the, okay, let's go to his website again. We're recording this live stream. Actually, we're recording the live stream. We're getting the audio, which is going to be essentially a podcast. The clips, maybe you could take them. Is my screen, how do we get my screen to be the larger screen? Trying to figure that out. Because right now all we're seeing is like your screen as the big screen. Oh, that's not what I wanted. And your screen's just a big black screen that just says Earl, so it's like we should change that. But I don't know how. No, it still shows big screen. Okay, that's gallery. That did something different. Immersive. Okay, I don't like that. I don't want that. Oh, okay, here, let's see. Okay, there we go. Hide non-video participants. So this works. What do you see on your end? Is it just look the same? Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, this works because again, you know, you're not on the video, and even like when you're clipping this, I don't think, you know, we'll see when we actually clip it. I don't think you'll actually be able to hear yourself because I'm hearing you through headphones, but we're recording the sound through the speaker or through the microphone. So yeah, but that'll make it better for editing, and you know, it also means that when you ask a question, it, which is good. And again, this type of content making makes it easier for me to actually kind of talk fluidly and get my points across. So yeah, but if you pull up, can you pull up the guy's website again? Perfect. So if you scroll down to where he says our proven process, yes, yeah, not his link tree, his website. Okay, so you see where it says ID and diagnose, structure, strategy, execute, and deploy strategy, systemize and scale. That's way better than what we have, because we have pull up what we have. Let's show the audience. You're like the moderator in this kind of example. Are you able to do that? Yes. Hey, I can blur my background. What that looks like. Oh, what? Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah. Yes, no problem. Let me do that. Okay. Make a host. Alright, you're a host. Yes, it's still recording. Yes. So, see how we describe all of these hodgepodge of services that we can provide? Oh, we could do your social media management. Oh, we could do your PPC. Oh, we could do your video marketing. It's like, that's all which way, and that's like, you know, if someone just wanted PPC, they would just go find the leading expert in PPC and hire that service. You know, if they're looking for more of the creative stuff that you can't, you know, like the stuff where the proof is in the pudding. Like they're gonna look at the testimonials, they're gonna look at the portfolio and see, do I like this guy's kind of creative direction? That kind of stuff, you know, you can't just create a good subjective description for a service and hope to win someone. That, that's not going to work. So, this kind of way, it's not really, again, it may get clients, small clients, but we're going for those legacy big clients and these new startups. So this is not going to sell them. So, but if we go to this guy's, this reference page, he's not talking about these, different tactics. He's talking about strategy. And I remember this quote where it's like, I forgot how it goes, but it was something like, managers talk about strategy, and leaders talk about I forgot what it was. It was logistics. It was logistics about how they're going to make it work. And so this is more of the logistical kind of figuring out how it works. Scroll back up really quick. And then he has the portfolio part where it says, like, at the bottom, different brands he's worked with. But if we go to our proven process, see right there, that's his the brands we serve, that's essentially his portfolio. And we would have that. Brands we serve would be Remotery, the Armando Pez Official, Savvy Pace. Those would be our brands, and then we would go and get other brands, and so that's essentially how we would do that. And people could click on those, and they would to kind of like what our workflow was, what we did, because some brands are gonna want pay per click ads. Some are gonna want to have their podcast on Spotify. Some brands aren't going to need a podcast. So we have all these different ways and tactics for doing something, but it's more about having, because again, if we let someone come in and tell us they need pay per click, or say I want a video marketing strategy, and we say, well, here's what your budget is based on what you've told us and what your industry kind of demands. And it's not going to make sense for you to do a video marketing campaign and set up all this other stuff, which you need to have set up if you want to even get started. And they may say, no, I want the video marketing, or I want the pay-per-click, and we could say, look, we don't know if we're going to be a good partner if you can't defer expertise in digital marketing to us. And so if you can't do that, then, if you think you're the expert, maybe it's best building it in-house. And we're happy to refer you people because we want to have good relationships, even with the brands we don't work with. But, if we're going to be trying to move off the creative or directional ideas of someone who doesn't have that background, then there's going to be challenges, because the added challenges, apart from the challenge of already trying to build something or update something or anything like that, they're going to have ideas that aren't going to work. And if we just take their money and run with their bad ideas, as we don't see results, we're going to have to make changes and make fixes, and we're going to have to explain that, and it just won't be a long-term healthy relationship. If it is long-term, it won't be healthy, and it probably won't be long-term. So either way, that's why we're trying to be selective on who we decide to take in and who we don't, and that's why we position ourselves and make the decisions we make, so that we make more money in the long term. So about that, looking at what our kind of proven process will be. Obviously, we're not going to call it our proven process, because we need to rip that off, and we don't need to rip off ID and diagnose, structure, strategy. We don't need to do that, but taking note of that, what he's talking about is logistics. He's talking about, like, here's not the tools we're going to use, but the framework that we're going to use, the roadmap that every person is going to go into, because there does have to be a standard operating procedure or a cookie cutter method at some point. It can't just be, recreating the wheel every time you get a customer. There has to be some sort of framework, and this kind of, ID and diagnose, structure, strategy, that's the framework. So, to that end, here's kind of our framework. So where we would basically have planning, formation, and initial implementation and ongoing maintenance. And so that's kind of our 4 kind of roadmap. We want to start by planning out what your marketing strategy is going to be and figuring out, okay, are you going to have 4 channels, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook groups, and Google, or are you going to have 12 channels? Okay, and of each channel, what is going to be your process? How many pieces of content are you going to need to make? Are you making video content, text content, graphic art content? What it is, that's in the planning stage. From there, we move into the formation. Okay, so we know what the plan is. If we need to set up some accounts, have some management software, some CRM software, some things that are going to help us manage all of different channels and software and services, basically the back end of your business. We have to start setting that up. Then from there, we're going to move towards the initial implementation. That means we have to actually get some content, we have to optimize it, we have to make sure all the backlinks and the SEO and the keywords, everything is as it should be, and then we have to run it. We have to test it, make sure everything works the way it should. Doesn't mean it's going to go, doesn't mean it's going to pick up any traction, but we need to make sure that when we say this thing is going to do this thing, that it does that. So that's going to be the initial implementation. And don't expect that every time we set up a process, create a Zapier, Zap, or create a workflow, that it's going to work perfectly and seamlessly the first time. That's why there is the specific category of initial implementation, because that first test is a part of the process, and it's very important, and we can't do anything else. We can't start creating any more content until we make sure that first piece of content, when we're ready to put it out, goes through all of the things that we needed to go through, the workflow, in order to be fully optimized and fully reach its intended audience as efficiently as possible. So that's the initial implementation. And then ongoing maintenance is just, every month, every day, we need to be there, clearing out invoices, filtering comments, engaging with the community, because that's what grows the community. Once everything's set up, once you have an automated, efficient workflow, and you get your content made and it automatically goes through a system, there still needs to be real life humans on the back end communicating with your audience and growing your audience through that communication. So that's kind of that's our roadmap, how we would set that up. And we can think about that now. We may need to get a graphics designer in there to build the little imagery like he built. Likely we can get all of that from free resources. Those are just easy icon mock-ups. There's plenty of free icon websites to choose from, and so it's mostly about building a wireframe, and we can do that in something like Illustrator or Adobe XD, I believe. And so that's just a UX design for what the website will look like, and then we can hand it off to a developer. I happen to know some good ones that can implement it. So again, we don't have to be coding experts. We are more design, abstract, creative experts. So yeah. And then there's also more to the process. Once we have those kind of 3 or 4 basic frameworks laid out, we also have on a monthly basis, and this will go towards the fee structure about like what people are actually paying for. On a month to month, they're paying for us to review their so basically for the first month they're going to pay, and they're going to pay more than every other month. We're going to have a retainer fee structure where every month, because marketing happens in 6-month to yearly periods. So like if you're going to sign a contract, you can't expect us to have results in a month or 3 months. If we do, that's great, that's awesome. But marketing generally takes 6 months to a year to maybe even longer. And so just depending on the cycle of that industry. So, you know, the initial implementation, depending on where they are, if they need a website revamp or a website build altogether, or, you know, everything on their website's good to go, that will determine that pricing structure. But then the ongoing retainer fee is a part based on the industry, and it's also a part based on the continual work we need to be done, that needs to be done, which breaks down into 3 categories. You have here, let's put back on my screen. Appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, the monthly kind of stuff, that breaks down into 4 categories. We got the review process, which we're constantly looking at the stuff we built, and not everything's going to get built in the first month. Sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes longer. But that's kind of more of branding. Like if we're figuring out your graphic design and your brand imagery and all of that kind of stuff, that may take more than a month. It just depends on you and the company and what we can get approved. And it's a collaborative process. So it's not about sticking to a specific timeline. It's more about setting up objectives and then meeting those objectives with efficiency. So you kind of have to look at what is the kind of standard, and you want to stick to that standard or better and not fall below that standard. But that's just kind of a guidepost. It's not the end-all be-all of like, okay, it takes a graphics designer in this industry, generally 3 weeks to mock up some designs, and then there's maybe a 3-week extra review period. So that's like a month and a half. Like if that's the standard, then we want to expect like, okay, well, you're a graphics designer, this many years of background in that. Well, we expect the graphic designer, based on our research, to be able to do this job in that amount of time based on all the other graphics designer feedback that we're getting. And so, they're not sticking to that. It may, tell us that they're not being efficient with the time that, that we're kind of working with them. And that's not good. Because, we're not keeping people as we grow on a hourly basis, because then that incentivizes them to just run out the clock. And that's not what we're wanting to incentivize. If someone's getting paid on hourly, then if if they have to make a graphic design, well then they're incentivized to spend a lot of time thinking about it and reviewing and going, and they can just say, well, yeah, I had to think about it. I had to make many mock-ups. I couldn't hurry. It's a design process. It's a creative process. There is no, set amount of time for it to be done, and they can work that into the kind of hourly structure. But if we say, look, if you spend this amount of time on it, if you get it done faster, then you're going to get the same amount of money as if you get it done longer. So if you want more money, get it done faster, move on to the next job, you get more money. But spending a month on it is not going to make you go in overtime or anything like that. And if at the end of that month, when we expect an objective to be met based on what the market standard is, and you haven't met those objectives, we're just going to say, well, you said you were at a certain level of expertise. It doesn't look like you're meeting that level of expertise. We need to reevaluate what level of expertise you're actually on, because maybe we'll assume that you weren't lying. We're assuming that you just misrepresented by mistake. We can reevaluate and say we're going to give you less responsibility and make it so that there's more eyes on you expecting results, but the results are less stringent, I would say. And so that would be one approach. The other approach would just be kind of saying, look, it's not working out. We had deadlines to meet. You're making us miss these deadlines. Hit the road, Jack. That's the other kind of way of handling it. So yeah, that's kind of that process. And so, but once everything gets set up again in that initial implementation, and even ongoing maintenance, I don't think that would fall into that first section where we talk about the roadmap in the our proven process section. I think it really would just be planning, formation, and initial implementation. That would kind of be the roadmap. And then our ongoing fees would be like review, that is ongoing maintenance, because we have to kind of review, make sure everything's working, and fix anything that's not working. That's what reviewing is for, is to find what things are broken and fix them. So that's a part of ongoing maintenance. Analyze, we want to look at the data that we're getting into our CRM, to any kind of management software or data aggregation software, go over it, figure out what's working, what's not. That's a part of doing A/B split testing and doing retargeting and optimizing your ad process. And some of that is paid advertising, and some of that is organic advertising. Either way, we want to look at the data to kind of give us more insights into, if a certain piece of content works. Well, okay, maybe we're not running any ads on that content, but we're getting a lot of exposure on that content. So we might want to make similar content to it, and wash, rinse, and repeat that piece of content. Rinse, wash, and repeat. Either way. And then structure. This is essentially the R&D part of our process. Because we want to be, it's more the development part of the R&D process. The research part is more the analyze part. So analyze and structure is research and development, because we're researching or analyzing all of our data, going over it, figuring out what works, making inferences and assumptions, and from those inferences and assumptions we create hypotheses and thus create structure. Those structures we're going to implement and say, okay, well, let's try this. This is kind of a new thing that's in development in the pipeline. Let's see if it works, and we're going to get data from it. And if it does work, we'll double down on it. And if it doesn't work, we'll make adjustments. And so that's that's structure. We're going to be building new things and figuring out what works and what doesn't. Okay, and then we have okay, so again, this is me taking it from another document, but for their last kind of part, they had supervised the representation. I guess for right now, we'll use that word. Maybe later we'll change the wording. But essentially what that means is meet with our client and go over what we're doing. Go over the roadmap, go over what's working, what's not working. Just, fill them in, keep them in the loop. That's all that means. Because all of this stuff, they don't need to know every single day what we're doing, but customer, they might want to do a weekly or a monthly meeting. And we probably would never, there may be customers out there that say, look, we trust you guys completely, and we don't ever need a meeting. We whatever you're doing, just do it. And and it certainly things are working, we could see that happening. But even still, I would say let's set up a Zoom call. You don't even have to show up. We'll record the Zoom call, send it to an email on your free time. You can look at the email, or you could just put it in spam, but it's going to be there. Like, we would never want to say, oh, we'll have no monthly review. There would always be a monthly review, and then a quarterly review, and so on and so forth. But minimum a monthly review, just to say, here's where we are, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's how we're going to move forward. All of that stuff, and presumably most customers would want to do at least the monthly meeting, if not probably the weekly meeting, and that's fine with us because we want to have all that stuff within a framework that we can communicate it to our staff and our organization. And so it makes sense that we'd want to communicate it to our client as well. And maybe for our client we have to kind of define terms a little bit better, because they might not understand the industry jargon as much. But that's fine, because that just helps us sell our processes better and go out and find new clients to sell our processes to. So that's our proven process. Just like he did it, however we're gonna organize it, that is what it is. Obviously we have this on recording, so there's I can already imagine the content ideas that you can clip and our TikTok videos, our Instagram reels, our YouTube shorts, all the different videos that we can get from me just explaining that right there. But eventually we'll have a visualization of what that looks like for our actual website. And later on, we'll actually take a look at some UX design tools that allow AI to create that visual information representation for us. Just like I showed you that AI tool that allows you to type in an image and it will, or type in a description of an image and it will create that image for you. You have those same AIs that will do it for website design and UX. So there's applications where you can get a piece of paper, draw what you want your website to look like with rectangles and everything like that, and just draw it on a piece of paper with a pen. Snap a picture of it, upload that picture into the AI. The AI will look at the drawing and say, okay, I know how you want your website to be, and it will populate the website just based on the drawing. So those AIs and those design website AIs have gotten really good. We're going to take advantage of that. And, we'll also bring in some UX designers and some backend designers to add to the creative process. But we have creative ideas too, just because we don't know how to use a software or use code or something like that doesn't mean that our creative understandings can't be just as valid, especially when what we're doing is going out and educating ourselves on design philosophy, on creative philosophy, on all of these structures and masteries of the creative, artistic side of marketing. Again, that's what I think is more valuable. So we can outsource all the other stuff, and eventually AI will help us outsource that stuff. And so we can become greater masters at art, and that makes us more valuable. That makes it so that our labor, we get to set the price on our labor, because there's no one that can replicate that. Whereas there's many people who can do a PPC campaign, and there's many different people who will be able to express how good they are in many different ways, and those ways may look better or worse depending on the client. So rather than try and join that race to the bottom, because it ultimately just comes to a price kind of argument of, okay, what is my budget, and who, based on their experience, will allow me to get the best bang for my buck. That's a race to the bottom, because then we're trying to make ourselves as skilled as possible and discount our services at the amount that makes it so that we're not in the red, because we have to compete with all these other people who are discounting them services. And so we don't want to compete for the bottom. We want to compete for the top. The way you do that is by making yourself unique and your skill sets unique in the way that you take ideas and reflect those ideas in content. So more content right there. Okay, so that kind of sums up the and this stuff is important. I mean, even beyond the sake of we're recording this, and this is going to make some stuff that you can edit and go back to and repost and be part of your content strategy. Going over this stuff is going to be important for figuring out how the layout of our website is going to be. So that's going to play a role in it. Yes. And then testimonials, that's pretty straightforward. When we work with customers, we're going to want to get some testimonials. I don't really have to speak anything on that. That's just, obviously there's optimizing, there's softwares that you integrate that allow you to pull Google reviews. We're going to cut out that other part. Google reviews, and add them to your website. And so, that way you don't have to copy and paste reviews from different review platforms. You can just kind of have them automatically enter into your website. Brands we serve, just like I said, we'll have our portfolio of, SavvyPaste, Armando Perez Official, Remotery. So we already have a portfolio that people can click on, and we'll have a basically kind of synopsis of what we've done with Remotery. and what our marketing strategy was, and all of that kind of stuff, so they can say, okay, well, I know these guys have a background in email marketing because they've done some email marketing for remote. And so, that will definitely give us a leg up in that startup sector where others would just not be able to do that. And we're going to still do the same things that people have to do when you're starting up a marketing company, i.e. you have to go out, you have to find businesses that you want to work with, and you have to want to work for them for free. Otherwise, you're going to have to take a much lesser client at a reduced price. Better to just go for the high-paying client and work for free, and then in a month or 2 months or 3 months, even 6 months, once you've produced some results, however long that takes, you say, okay, look, I produced some results, I'm happy with the results, I'm going to start charging you now. If you don't want to do that, I'm going to go to your neighbor. I'm going to charge them, and I'm going to show them all the stuff I built for you. You don't own it. You can keep whatever's left once I leave, but I'm also taking the work, and I'm going to go use it as my reference for every other person in your industry. So, that, and obviously we find a really nice way to say that. We're not trying to intimidate or threaten them, but, once we're not in business with them, they're our competition. So if they go out of business, that would be advantageous for us if we are working for their competitors. So, I have no ill will to the person that I'm competing against. I hope their family all the abundance that they could possibly receive, so that they have no worries in life beyond their business, and so that they are performing at their optimum level when I'm competing against them. That way, when I beat them, I know I'm really good at my job, because there's not like, oh, they were going through a divorce and so their mind was preoccupied with other things and that's why they couldn't compete. No, I hope they have a strong, healthy marriage and beautiful kids and a vibrant family life and social life. That way, when I crush and put them out of business, I know it truly is down to performance. So, but that's business, Anyway, yeah. So, and again, we are finding a nice way to do it, and hopefully, I don't see why they wouldn't. We have all of our research going in there. We know what their budgets are. We know what the market calls for. We know what their revenues are. We know what their conversion rate on for their customers are. We know all the information about their business that would allow us to say, you can afford to pay us this much if we create this much business for you. Create an increase of 20% business, and that's 20% of your bottom line that is now grown. We can ask for 10% of that, and we should expect for that not to be a problem, because that's 10% business that you didn't have that now you get to be created, and that just compounds over time. So having that understand it makes it more likely for them to say yes. It kind of makes it a no-brainer of like, well, you're gonna leave, and obviously me being a businessman had to assume that I can't get free labor indefinitely. So it makes a lot of sense that you would be asking for more money now, and so it makes it easier, and everything. The process should be a yes, unless we're not doing our job. I don't see it being a no. I don't see it being a no. So yeah, that's kind of our strategy there, and again, all marketing startups have to do that or something lesser than that. So that's and we get a leg up from actually having portfolio work. So probably the first client that we accept for free will be the last client we accept for free. That's kind of how I see it, unless it's a startup that we really want to work with, and maybe we'll get some equity out of or something like that, and I'd be happy to work with that kind of startup. Like if there was a company that said, hey, and in fact I'm only using this example because I found a company like this. I don't think they ever ended up going anywhere, but their claim to fame that was going to be that they were going to be making a computer system that you could put into your car and it would turn it into a self-driving car. And it was like a $2,000 upgrade, and it'd be all of the computer that handle your braking and steering and acceleration and all of that stuff, and it would essentially turn your car into a smart car so that you don't have to buy a Tesla in order to have autonomous driving when autonomous driving finally comes out. And so, I would have worked for that company for free just for the opportunity to potentially later on down the road be their marketing partner or get some equity in that company, because that would have been like a huge deal. But again, not all startups go anywhere, and so that one didn't look like went anywhere. There's going to be many other startups just like that, and certainly startups that are in the autonomous car industry. So that would be something we would look out for. And lucky for our company, we are an hour away from one of the top software developing ecosystems in the entire world, not just the US, the world. Austin is the new San Francisco. San Francisco was the hub for information technology for the last 10 years. That's where Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of these companies were built out of. Airbnb, all of them. That has changed and is now Austin, Texas. And we are 3 hours away from that place. So that's plenty of opportunity for funding, for talent, for customer base, all that different stuff we can have access to because we're right close to that hub. And so that's pretty cool. So yeah, plenty of startups there that we can look for. So that kind of goes over the front end of the website. Just kind of lets you know an overview of what our strategy and roadmap is going to be. Obviously, now we have to get logistics of figuring out, okay, how are we going to change the imagery on our website? How are we going to adapt it? How are we going to add our social links? And so that's the logistics. And obviously I need to get you I want to cut in really quick. So the reason your brain says like is another example. Obviously, fillers is because you're trying to form sentences in your brain, and it's like a filler to make sure that you're not you have something to say. You're not just like blanking out as your brain formulates sentences. And so my fillers are like, obviously those are my fillers. I don't like those fillers. They're bad habit fillers. I remember being very young and having someone that was like a mentor to me in one of my first jobs. One of my first businesses I started when I was not even a teenager. I was 7 to 10 years old. And I lived in an apartment complex that had anywhere from 300 to 500 residents. And so one of the ideas that I got from a friend was that we could go door to door and knock and ask to take out people's trash. And just say, hey, can we take out your trash? And whatever tip you'd like to give us, that's what we'll accept in order to do this job. And 9 out of 10 times, if not 10 out of 10 times, people would give you something. People would not, the only reason people would not give you something is because they didn't have any trash, they already took it out, or that was really it. It's like, okay, I don't have any trash, or I'm not going to give you my trash because I don't have any money, so I'm not going to ask you to take out my trash without giving you money. And so, and sometimes people would say, can you take out my trash this time? Come back in like 3 days or a week. I'll have more trash and I'll have money for this time and next time. And so I made a good amount of money for a 7 or 10-year-old kid from just taking out people's trash. And I had a little ripstick and I'd ride around and knock on the doors. For me, it was fun. Like, I just had the trash on my back and ride the ripstick. It wasn't even challenging to go to the trash and dump it out. So I did that. And now there's actually a professional service that provides that to many, many apartment complexes, where they just issue the apartment complex trash bins and give those to the residents. The residents fill the trash bins, put them outside, and then the trash collector comes and takes the trash out of the bin. And so, even before that was something that existed on a commercial, legitimate service, I was that there was a demand, and then I could service that problem. And so that was really interesting. But I had a mentor when I was doing that was an older lady that was just really interested in the fact that I was figuring out a way to be creative and expressed my entrepreneurial interest and wanted to help me. And so one of the things she said was never use you know, because if people knew, you wouldn't need to say you know. Like if you wouldn't need to talk if they knew. So the reason you're talking is presumably because you're providing some useful additional information. And so to say you know essentially says, oh, the information I gave you, you didn't need to know it because you already knew it, therefore it was irrelevant, or I just wasted your time. And that is not a good look in a professional environment or something like that. So, she really, that always stuck with me. This lady, I can't even remember her name. I wish I could, but I that's just the truth. I can't, because it was so long ago. And when we moved from that, apartment complex, we didn't stay in touch. So that was something really important that she gave me, though, that if people knew, you wouldn't need to say you know. You wouldn't need to talk. So don't say you know. And that's very important. But I've thought about that a lot, about how I say obviously. Again, not a smart filler word, because if it was obvious, you wouldn't need to say it. So you're presumably trying to say things that are not obvious, or that people don't, so that you could provide value to them. And so, that goes to the heart of creating content. We want to provide value. But even on a personal relationship level, like if you're talking to a stranger, you're trying to network on a one-on-one basis without any aspirations of creating a sale or something like that, you don't want to use those words, because again, you want to provide value. That's the goal of every interaction, whether it's on a marketing broad collective conscious level or at an individual sales level, one-on-one type of situation. So yeah, sorry, I gotta reply to that. Okay, so sorry, didn't want to interrupt, but I had to. So yeah, that's kind of the mentality behind that. But I said all that to say, like, the filler that I'm trying to replace it with is I believe. I believe is a more accurate description, because what I'm saying can still be new information. It can still, in my opinion is another filler, exactly. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to say this, take it with a grain of salt. However weight you choose to give it, at that point it's on you. If you think it's not valuable, I would even encourage you speaking up and saying that, but the choice is yours to do with this information what you will. I've just provided it. I don't want to say obviously, I don't want to say because it may not be obvious, and I would hope that it's not obvious, and I would hope that they don't know, and that I am actually providing useful information. And the ideal situation would be for them to come away saying, wow, that was really insightful. I'm glad I met that guy. I'm glad he told me that information. Now I have that information, and it's going to make my life that much better or that much more efficient. That would be a perfect situation. And in that scenario, I would just hope I could say, I believe, or in my opinion, because that way they can understand that it's a formulation of my thoughts, not what I perceive to be objective reality. It could easily be proven wrong with new information or a shift in the environment. So that's just kind of a little content clip that we can use, but it just kind of goes into my mentality and something I've been trying to work on. So interesting, hopefully. And so I cut myself off to go into that tangent and explain that. But do you by chance know what was before that tangent? It could be too far gone. It could be lost, but maybe you know. Was I talking about the website, or I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember. It wasn't the website. It was. Maybe it was the website. Oh, sorry, I got another signing. Let me. Oh yes. Well, but again, you go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, so with that meaning, we can. Well, probably not because I have a signing at 1 o'clock. Now, more than likely, it's going to be a really tight, if not running a little late. These are luckily one of those stock pickups, so they're not really normally stringent on time. But yeah, so we won't be able to pick up the meeting right after, because right after I'll have to go to another signing. So yeah, there's that. So I'm trying to think. Okay, let's go back to the website. There is one thing I wanted to pull it up on your screen. Yeah, but I hope I've provided plenty of good content that you'll be able to pull out of this. And also some information and some roadmap. Like what I really like about recording this meeting is you can actually rewatch it and refer back to that. And, I really am big on giving people the ability to create without just me having to tell them what to do. I understand that, in new organizations and certainly one of the biggest things I was, reading and watching and trying to understand when figuring out that I wanted to hire a VA was that you can't just hire someone and expect them to know everything and put them in there and be like, okay, now go do these things. I want to grow an affiliate marketing business. Okay, well, what's your content? Well, they need all of this input to be able to go to work. Sometimes you have to teach them entirely new standard operating procedures. And so what I was getting from all this feedback about this doesn't work, or these people failed, or not the VAs failed, but the business failed, or the founder failed, and they were complaining about that failure. It wasn't that the VA didn't know what they were doing, or the VA cheated them, or lied to them, or manipulated them, or anything like that. It's that they could not communicate how to do the thing that they wanted the VA to do. It was more on them. They didn't have a standard operating procedure that they could give the VA and say, if you do this and then this and then this and this, at the end we will get this, and that is our objective, and that's what we're trying to do. And that Yes, absolutely, I agree. And so, that's kind of been putting the onus on me to figure out. Okay, well, I have to create these standard operating procedures, and even if I didn't decide to go the route of VBA, standard operating procedures are what takes you from a solopreneur, from a freelancer, to a business, a startup, multiple employees, and building something, and all of that kind of stuff. If you just want to be a freelancer, and every time you get a client, you can remake your process and do it as you see fit, in that scenario you don't need a standard operating procedure. So it helps, but I'm not going to say they're necessary for everyone. It really is necessary, and your business will not survive, in my opinion, if you don't have one. If you're a business, if you have multiple employees, if you plan on growing and scaling, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up. But when I was should say but, because that would null the previous statement. So when I was thinking about that, I was like, yeah, that's certainly true, and we need to create those standard operating procedures. But another part of that I want to grapple with, and I also want to teach and apply into my organization, is that yes, we want standard operating procedures. Yes, we want objectives, and we want attributions for to see if that we're meeting those objectives. But also, I want to give people the responsibility and the incentive to make decisions on their own. To say well, I understand that within this business, this needs to be done. No one's telling me it needs to be done, but I understand it needs to be done. I'm going to take the objective and do the task. Because if I take the objective and do the task, it forwards the business, it forwards the business objectives, it grows the business, that creates more revenue, and all things in the business, because we are a virtual business, even more so, but even in a tech-centric, software-centric, business landscape, which is today's climate, everything is attributable, everything is trackable, everything is measurable. So the idea that, someone takes an objective into their own hands and says, I'm going to do this, the idea, oh, well, what if I don't get credit? That's almost unrealistic, because if we see growth, if we see a forwarding of the objective, we will know where it came from and know who did that action and know who created that growth and be able to attribute that success to that individual and reward them as such with more responsibility, which generally translates to more income, and more creative freedom, which again translates to more income for them, and so on and so forth. But and then we also want to, and we create the framework for this so that people can't make business altering decisions own that make it so that, again, they're business altering. Like, I think I can make a better website. I'm just going to delete the website and make my own website. Like, no freelancer, no person in our organization can just laterally do that, except for maybe me. But what they can do is say, this website looks a little shoddy. I think I can make a better one. I'm going to create a mock-up. I'm going to put it in a group folder, and then everyone's going to be able to see and visit and comment on that rendering and that design. And if it gets traction, it will get put as a new website. And imagine how much attribution goes to that person who on their own accord decided to design that website because they believed in their abilities to make a better website than what was already there. And so again, no one told them, hey, we need you to redesign the website. They just felt that they could make a better website, and they had ideas on how they would do that, and they created the situation where that could be reviewed and critiqued and everything like that. And maybe we don't go with it. Even still, that kind of I can't think of the word right now, but that kind of mindset is something we would really try and encourage. And again, by putting in a framework where they're not making business altering decisions, it allows them to take more of those objectives without having the other side of that equation, where like if they did just believe that they had the ability to unilaterally revamp the website, and then they do it, and their website version is way shittier and terrible, and now everyone has to go in and re-implement all the other widgets and softwares integrated into the website because they didn't do it in a controlled environment or with a standard system so that everyone knew what was happening, and it just kind of happened overnight and it created all these problems. Like, that would be really bad, and there would be a lot of consequences to that. And it'd be hard to say, well, yeah, you took some objective and we didn't ask you to do this, but it was really creative that you did. So yeah, even though you crashed our website and probably made it so that we're losing business or affecting our customer experience, we can't punish you because, again, you had that that go-getter attitude, essentially. Like, in that scenario, it'd be very hard for me to say that, and I'd probably be like, no, you crashed the website and you're costing me money, and this is not good for business, and like, I don't like that. And it'd be very hard for me to keep a cool level head. That's why, again, we create the framework and say, like, look, you can create these creative projects, and we have shared folders in the Adobe Creative Cloud that you can put these things in that everyone can look at and see what these attributions are, who they're for, and who's making these things. And then you can get collaborative and with other people to make it even better, and the whole group, the whole group working on the project or working in that sector or working on the business can see it and say, wow, this is awesome, let's move this forward, I like this project. And so there'll be projects that kind of have standard operating procedures and have roadmaps and are started from the head of the business moving downwards, and there are some that we have the ability to start from the ground and move upwards. And so that allows for creativity, that allows for better objectives and better incentives for our employees, and I think it's good. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. So hopefully there's some, again, more clips that you can take out of that. But let's go back to the story company. So we went through kind of structure and kind of said, okay, we want to make it look like this other website that we saw. That's good. And there's more of that later when we actually get into UX design. So let's address kind of the back end and see what we need to fix and what we can fix here and now. First things first, scroll all the way up and let's look at the corner. The corner left. See where it says the story company? See how that's blacked out? That's because the developer that I originally hired used a transparent background, and instead of the filling of the story being white, he used transparent. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. It was made a little bit differently because it's a logo, so it's different of how you uh, upload it into the website. So we essentially just have to upload a new version of it where it's not transparent, and that's actually me going and getting that file and sending it to you, and then you figuring out how to switch it with the updated file. Because otherwise, we'd have to basically pull that off the website, put it into Adobe, work on Adobe to translate it from transparent to white, and it'd be a whole other process. We already have one. I just have to go grab it. So I'm glad you noticed that. That's we'll fix. We want to get you the video, like, what are they called again when they're like standard clips, I guess. It doesn't matter either way. Yeah, we want to get you those different websites where you can pull different video clips to kind of make like a mashup, just like that other website, for our imagery. Scroll down. Stop right here. So those images that you're going to use to make a matchup will reflect our brand values: honesty, loyalty, and gratitude. And if you click on each one of these, they have a blog post which you can already create and optimize content for. So if you want things to do and follow along on those videos, that SEO website, click on one of them. Let's see if it works. See if the link works. They don't work? Okay, so we'll have to figure out how to make those work. Go back up. And if you might, again, all of those videos and lessons, they're meant to be watched multiple times over. So you have to go through. Perfect. Yep. It's just link building. That's what it is. So you're just connecting links, and you have internal links where your website is, linking from one part of your website to another part of the website. Then you have external links where the website is linking from the website to a different website somewhere else. And so yeah, there is, I believe, a part of the videos where you can do that. But either way, in the right corner, you have the sandwich menu bar. If you click on that, that should take you to the same blog post. Yep. So it would probably just be in blogs. How digital marketing should go down? Yep, that's it. So yeah, you know, we would just create our blogs on that, and again, click on it real quick. I'll just give you a brief overview of what you can do. And again, you still have to watch the SEO optimized video to show you like what we do to make sure all the keywords are in here. It's got a meta description. Scroll down. You know, maybe we would want an actual video there. And just like that AI can take text and turn it into a video, maybe that would be something we would want to do. Then, and we could do it, we would have 3 different videos because we have 3 different brand values. And again, we got to go through the column. Maybe there's more description we can add. Maybe that's enough. We don't know until we run it through an SEO analyzer. Scroll back up. So, you know, that, for example, is just something we can do right there. Like you have the TikTok, you can go and look. So one sec. You have the TikTok, you can look and figure out, okay, how can I take text and apply it into this software and make a video out of it, and then you don't really know the back stuff, and that's maybe a little bit of content stuff in that, so we don't really have to worry about that stuff right now. But certainly a lot of SEO stuff you can do in the meantime, like keyword analysis, and once you, of course, take the videos, then you'll be able to do it. So yeah, and then look right here. So see where it says team members of ABC. So that's where the content writer didn't put in the story company. He just put in ABC as like a filler. So we actually have to go through and update that. So already right there, there's some little things we can do. You know, and you know, obviously right now we're confined by the amount of hours that I can actually pay for you, but every day we can find something to do, and you can go in there and figure out, how do I need to do that, change it. One thing right there, already done. You know, and some of these things I'll catch during our meetings, and I'll tell you, like, let's fix those. Some things I won't, and that goes to the idea of, you know, figure out the objective. Yep. Figure out the objectives that need to be done, whether we see them or not. You know, because they still need to be done, whether the top of the company, the C-suites can see it or not. And if it does get done, the company grows, and we have attributions to figure out who's growing our company. That person needs to be rewarded, because, I mean, that's making us all money. If we don't reward that person, they're going to leave, and if they leave, there goes our growth out the door. So I'm not going to let that happen. And so that's why I encourage incentivize that and saying, I'll find things for you to fix, and as you get better at fixing things, you will be rewarded. But in the meantime, when I can't find things to fix, you find things to fix, and the same equation applies. You will be rewarded. And so you know, that's kind of the mentality there. So let's go back to the main screen. We don't have to go through and edit everything right now. And it's also about content moderation. So some of the comments may need to be deleted, or different things like that. Let's see what else we got. Go back to the back end. See the back end of the website. I think I've shown all the front end stuff. Obviously, it needs to look nicer, be more creative, have more content, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, some of that stuff you can take on your own. Some of that stuff we have to work together. And it's a longer process. And, you know, you have some content to work on now that you can use. Probably like 6 to 9 pieces of content. And then we have to create some content, and we're working on that as well. And then once we do all that, we have to optimize it. So let's go into the optimizing part of it. So look at this social media audio poster. Let's go scroll through that all the way down on the sidebar on the left. Down. You were no, all the way down. Social auto poster. Yep. So you were able to install that, correct? Okay, so I probably downloaded and installed it, but did you watch the modules where you were when he was going through that and follow along to understand what he was doing on that? Did you finish the course on the website? Ah, okay. So, but are you confident that if I were to give you the socials, you would be able to link them? Yes. Yep. Yep. That's correct. And so, yes, this is something we definitely want to get set up. And yeah, I do need to get you the socials for all these different ones. I'm wondering if you can add other socials, or if it just has to be the socials that are like it gives you the options for. Either way, we can add other socials. I mean, there's other ways we can build Zapiers and use later and use because I do like that strategy that I showed you the one time about posting on as many different social media platforms on as possible. And the example that guy used was 12, but he also said that he was like working 7 hours a day on just posting, which is not what we want to do. It may take us 7 hours a day in the beginning, but we're going to automate it as soon as possible so that once our 7 hours will be just making quality content that is informative, motivational, and entertaining, and of high production grade. And when that's all done, it'll get optimized and then it'll get distributed through a very nice, seamless, automated distribution workflow. So yeah. And these are plenty. I mean, how many channels is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's already, well, 11. WordPress doesn't really count because this is already the website. So yeah, I guess we'll count it 11. But all of those will have channels for it. Like that M one, that's kind of one that most people would know. That's Medium. That's a really good blog site. I actually read a lot of Medium posts. It's very good for tech and finance, and there's a lot of crypto stuff there. So I read a lot of Medium blog posts, and you can get a really good backlinks and engagement off of Medium. So that's good. This other one, I think that little paper plane one right next to Medium, I believe that is email. All on the other side, right by the M. Yeah, that one. Telegram. I don't have a Telegram. I'm not even familiar with Telegram. I don't even know what it is. So we could look into it. I mean, I'm not opposed to any social media platform just because I don't know what it is. So yeah, I would definitely, as long as it's not paid, I don't have a problem with it. And depending on what it is, like one thing I'll say is like I'm not really interested in like having a Snapchat marketing campaign. There are some, like especially for influencers or performers, where Snapchat really comes in handy. But if professional businesses, for like I would say 90% of businesses, Snapchat does not not 90, I don't know, but for a lot of businesses, Snapchat is not even worth exploring. And that's coming from me, who again, I'm a big believer in putting your content on as many platform as you can handle within the constraints of your budget and your personnel and your experience. And so but even within that framework, there's some platforms that just don't serve a marketing purpose. And I just look at Snapchat, really not a marketing app, the same way Instagram is a marketing app. To me, Instagram is, or Snapchat is more of a networking app. It's more of like, if you already have a network, then Snapchat would be a platform for you. It would not be a platform to grow your network, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong about that. Just from all of the background and information and kind of understanding I've done on Snapchat, it doesn't really seem like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I would think about that. Trying to think of what else. So yeah, if Telegram is the same way, we may not use Telegram. Reddit, you can go viral on Reddit very easy. It's a very, very low key, underrated marketing tactic is to use Reddit to kind of like gin up some engagement with your ideas and your content. So yeah, and then you have Google My Business. We can post stuff there. Not as relevant, but if we find local businesses, I'd work with them. Pinterest, very good. YouTube, gonna be one of our top ones. What is that? Is that Tumblr? Tumblr, no. Tumblr, I'm not gonna appeal to like, oh, yeah. What is that, like Scene Kids? I'm pretty sure. No one uses Tumblr anymore. So, yeah, no. LinkedIn, again, one of our really strong ones. Twitter, I would be interested in getting a Twitter if Elon Musk buys Twitter. If Elon Musk doesn't buy Twitter, it's a defunct platform, and I don't want anything to do with it. If he does, he's in negotiations to buy it. It's not like it's a closed deal. Technically, if either one of them backs out at this point, they owe the other person $1 billion. But Elon Musk has like 100 of those, so that's not really that much. And he can back out for, like, right now he put the deal on hold because he said that he doesn't know if the internal reporting for the number of bots that Twitter is actually comprised of is what they're reporting. So he has to basically get third-party reporting to say, look, if you're saying that only 10% of Twitter is bots, well, if it turns out that 20 or 30% of Twitter is bots, that's a lot different calculation for what your advertising is worth, what your platform's worth, and it means that we have to reevaluate what we're going to offer you per stock, because $40 or $50 is what he offered them per stock. That's based on the fact that less than 10% of users of Twitter are actually robots that are automated to just spam people. If it turns out that number is higher, then the calculus changes. So yeah, it's a long process that he has to go through and to figure out if he can buy Twitter. But I believe he'll buy it. I believe he's committed to the free speech ideas that he's espoused over the years, and I think Twitter needs to be returned to a place of public discourse and the town square. So yeah, and I think if that happens, the engagement and the reach of a lot of people who are supposed to be like, the zeitgeist leaders of the culture, the cultural movements in the country, I believe that they'll suddenly, out of the blue, get less popular. I don't think that their popularity is actually organic. I think a lot of it is artificially created. I don't think Joe Biden has as many Twitter followers as he purports to have. I think a lot of them are fake. But that's just me and my conspiracies. But we're gonna find out if they're conspiracies shortly, and I can't wait. So yeah, if that does go forward, I'll be one of the first people to sign up to Twitter for that reason, and I will wholeheartedly admit it, that the only reason I'm not signing up for Twitter is because it's a cesspool of just the worst that humanity has to offer, and it is a place to dunk and be dunked on. And for me, all social media platforms are places of business where you grow and connect for the purpose of business, because, and that's a lot different than saying that they're there to make sales. They're not there to make sales. They're there to make connections for the purposes of growing your business, because a business freedom creates time freedom, creates location freedom. Going, referencing obviously the Savvy Pace themes and values, but that is true that, even if you're an employee, if you create more business for yourself, you create more time for your family, which is good. And if social media can help you with that, it becomes a good tool. If you just use it to stay disconnected from your family, disconnected from your social environment, disconnected from your work, then it's not good. It's a tool that's becoming a problem, and that's not a good tool. And so, that's my perception on it, and that's why I've stayed away from Twitter. But if that changes with Elon Musk, I'm happy to sign up, because you can use it for a lot of good marketing and good community building and engaging and growing, like the Twitter niche has displayed. There's a vibrant Twitter crypto Twitter space. I don't know why, but I have like weird hang-ups with my C's. But there's a crypto Twitter space, and a lot of it is kind of maximalist, not good rhetoric. I don't think that, you could say it's toxic, but I don't, doesn't mean it should be bound or outlawed or anything like that. It's fine if people are mean on the internet. Like, if you don't like it, turn off the internet or grow thicker skin and continue on about your day. But yeah, so there are people that are like, oh, Bitcoin is the number one coin, everyone else is going to go to zero, you all suck and you're dumb, blah, 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 blah. Same thing is true with Ethereum and then any other coin. And the best example of this recently with the crypto news is Terra Luna, and the coin that collapsed, and billions of dollars of people's. Yep. That's because the inventor of it is a guy named Do Kwon, and he's based out of I believe, I want to say Singapore. I believe his nationality is Korean. He's South Korean, but he's a Singapore investor based out of Singapore, because Singapore is a hub of crypto innovation. I mean, Singapore has always been a technologically developed space with a lot of investor potential because of their climate for business. But they looked at the crypto space and said, we're not going to be China, who's just going to outlaw it because they're afraid of it, and they're afraid of it impeding on their ability to centralize power and then act on power. We're going to instead open the floodgates and let all of these investors, companies, entrepreneurs, innovators, creators come flood into Singapore and develop our economy. The same way Dubai has done it, Germany has kind of moved in that direction, Portugal. There's a bunch of other countries that have kind of said, we're going to be bastions of the crypto space because we want to encourage development of our economy. And so Singapore is in that same sphere. And Do Kwon was the new latest and greatest founder, celebrity in the crypto space. He invented a cryptocurrency that had its own blockchain, and just like all cryptocurrencies, had a single coin that moves up and down, is not pegged to any real world asset, and just fluctuates based on the supply and the demand of that cryptocurrency. And then it had a second coin, which is different than most blockchains or cryptocurrencies that have a singular coin attached to that blockchain, like Bitcoin. It had the second coin, which was pegged to a real world asset, that asset being the US dollar, because the US dollar is the global world reserve currency. Global and world are the same thing, so I didn't need to say that, but it's the world reserve currency. And so he had a second coin's only job was to be pegged to the US dollar. And it created that, what we call in the crypto space, an algorithmic backed stablecoin. Now, algorithmic backed stablecoins up until this point have never worked. They have always failed because they start what is essentially the death spiral, where people go to pull their money out. You get a large public perception or narrative that money is being pulled out, thus there will not be enough money to pay out everyone who has their money held up within the algorithm. So everyone immediately goes to try and be the first one to pull their money out, thus creating the spiral effect, and then you get the death spiral. Once the death spiral starts, there's no way out of it. And the other thing that you would call it in traditional financial markets is a bank run. We had this in the 1930s in the US, where because of the Great Depression, everyone went to go get their money out of the banks. There were long lines in the bank because the banks were doing something called fractional reserve lending. They didn't have enough money in their coffers to pay out every depositor. Thus, they had to either close the bank or the bank would go bankrupt. And so that same thing happens in cryptocurrencies, but it happens based on algorithm code, and it creates a death spiral, and all the cryptocurrencies that are algorithmic based coins fail because of those reasons. Essentially greed and fear. And there's nothing wrong with those. Those are just parts of human nature. We're not here to make a moral judgment on greed and fear. It is just the conditions of the market, and those conditions, when met, have ultimately ended in disaster for algorithmic stablecoins. There have been prominent algorithmic stablecoins or prominent projects that try to issue algorithmic stablecoins. The second most recent example was a project called Iron Finance, and it was actually I believe it was called Iron Finance, but it was actually backed by Mark Cuban, famous billionaire software investor and crypto investor. So he invested in Iron Finance, and it lost a bunch of money off of its algorithmic stablecoin. Well, Do Kwon supposedly had the solution, and that was a blockchain with its own algorithm-backed stablecoin and a non-algorithmic backed stablecoin that would have like fundamentals that would work together to manage the supply and demand of each, and make it so that the stablecoin would remain pegged to the dollar peg, and everything else would happen within that blockchain, and so on and so forth. Well, basically some things happened, and it caused the peg to plummet. Once the plummet started, the fear and the greed set in, and that created the death spiral. So a project that was at $14 billion a week ago went to zero as it currently stands. The Luna token is worth zero. The Terra token, which is the stablecoin, is worth zero. So it's just a fail. And I think they actually turned off the blockchain. So yeah, all the investors lost money. Binance lost a bunch of money. Crazy scenario. And it actually brought down the entire crypto market as a whole for other externality reasons that we don't have to get into right now. But I just wanted to kind of tell you that story to create more content that we can clip and use. But yeah, that whole process. I can't remember what I was talking about. Why I mentioned that blockchain to begin with. Shit. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. So let's move on. Yeah, so we got to figure out how to get this social media auto poster working. I guess I can't expect you to do anything with it until I get logins. So let me get you the logins, and then I'll expect for you to get these automatic postings done. And you already have 6 pieces of content that you can use. Now, once you get it to automatically post, that doesn't mean you want to post the content as is. We still need to optimize the content, so you still need to watch the videos, follow along with the content, optimize as need be, run the content through maybe some keyword research checkers and some other stuff like that. The video tutorials will teach you how to do that, so you don't have to learn SEMrush right now. And then either together or on our own time, you can look through the TikToks and figure out what you can do as far as creating some visuals or some imagery to go along with the clips. and or to go along with the written content, so that we get more holistic content, and that way you can post on not just a blog website like Medium or Twitter, but also Reddit, but also on some websites like Instagram or Facebook, which are visual and text based. So that would be good. And then also we're gonna post on Later, which Later, it looks like, because it doesn't have all of our channels, Later will handle Instagram, TikTok, and what else do we not have? I mean, for right now, it looks like that's it. I mean, obviously we're gonna add more websites because there's some decentralized Web3 websites that we want to get into. And so we want to add those ones on, and then there's different things like that. Truth Social, which is like Donald Trump's new social media platform. It may be interesting and exploring. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it. So that may be one we'll put into Later, and different things like that. Sorry, I just got a asking me to do some science. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah. 12:15. So yeah, that's actually perfect. I'm glad you said that because I want to eat my breakfast. I was hoping, hey, yeah. So let's. Exactly. So yeah, let's break here. It'll give us about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to eat and get ready for this next meeting, and then we'll meet back here and we'll get on with it'll probably be on Google, because he already sent me the link, so we'll just use his link, and so that it'll probably be on Google, and we'll go from there, and let me get off so we can go eat, but I'll see you in a little bit. Yes, sir. Bye. Hello? Pretty good, how are you? Uh-huh. Yes, let me go do that right now. I'm gonna go, sorry, I'm just pulling it from my Gmail really quick. If I logged in via Gmail. Okay, so I should log into Zapfire and then, uh, alright. Share my screen. Alright. 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 Pretty sure. Okay, where do I go? Okay. So just give us a password that we can both use for the purposes of this call and change it later? Alright. Alright, I'm just gonna do... Can it be very easy? Oh, I gotta... Okay, I'm just gonna do them 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just so we can both know it. Password. Oh, one letter of the alphabet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Yep. I made the Zoom screen tiny and now I don't know how to make it big again. Oh, this is frustrating. I don't know how to pull up the chat now. Oh, wait, I found it. Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, can I stop screen sharing? One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. A. I have to step away really quick. I have to go turn something off. I'll be right back. Yeah, I just didn't know how to do any of that. Is it screen sharing? Okay. Oh, damn. Oh, here? Mm-hmm. SnapDocs. That's like my CRM app. Damn it. This was the hard part that I needed done. I don't know how to connect it to. It's not one of the apps. Ah. Ah. No. See, that was the main thing that I was trying to solve is that I don't know where to get that or I don't have that kind of background. But that's yes. So, an order comes in via text message. I say I'm available to it. They assign the order to me. Once it gets assigned in SnapDocs, it will populate because it's a CRM, basically a contact person name, phone number, and I want to send a voicemail to that person and then a text message to that person to. Okay, okay. 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 Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. Yes, Google Voice and yeah, just Google Voice. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not Google Voice. Um for the text message, I use Google Voice for the texting. Like, cause I have a Google Voice number, like for my business. I would prefer to do both if we can only do one text message. Okay? Uh-huh. I will take your recommendation. I, okay. Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Okay. 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 Ah. Okay. Yes, I understand. Yes, I understand. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Yes, that's perfect. Same time? Yep, sounds good. All right. All right, sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it. No problem. You have a good one. Bye. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Oh, because I was just connected to the to my computer. Let me switch over to my phone. Sorry. Okay. Give me 1 sec. Alright, can you hear me? Alright, cool. Were you able to eat? Nice. Oh, shoot. Oh. Well, I would say that was, I would think it's worth it. I mean, in that situation. I will try and keep this one brief, but I felt like we had to go over what he discussed. That's how I kind of thought it would go because I knew that the task that I was going to be asking him to do was going to be kind of like, oh, sorry. And then this worked out because I have signing in one. Are all my signings that are scheduled for today on the calendar? Are all the signs? Okay, can you add them to the calendar? Just because I probably got to start getting ready for the day. But I just want to briefly go over everything that he talked about. Because a lot of that stuff I'm going to have you do because it's just sending emails. So that'll give you some administrative tasks to do. And, he basically, all the stuff he put in the email, everything, that's just you can send an email